People have had very high expectations for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and while the news has been fairly positive leading up to the release, things are looking less than perfect now that opening weekend has come and gone, because even though the user reviews are radiant, it failed to meet the lowered box office projections domestically. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and to the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So starting off with this article, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 box office debut fails to top the Super Mario record. As reported by Variety, the Marvel threequel took $114 million in its domestic box office debut, but despite this impressive figure, it slightly missed its expectations of $120 million on its opening weekend. And the reason why this is so worrying for Marvel is because this is already a lowered projection. Originally, they thought it was going to make $140 million, which is right around what the second film made, but then it was actually lowered to this 120 number. They thought, okay, you know what, it'll reach this for sure, and it didn't. While yes, it's only off by a couple million, they still expect to hit those projected numbers, and they ultimately didn't with the domestic numbers. It says this is considerably lower than the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which took an impressive $150 million at the US box office during the same weekend and has been breaking record after record since its release last month. I have talked about this film a ton of times. The Super Mario Bros. Movie was absolutely fantastic, and I think that this just shows that people are looking for something new, looking for something different. People are going to theaters to see, good entertainment, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie impressed everyone. I mean, it's already made over $1.2 billion worldwide. It is still moving, and unfortunately for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they couldn't reach those numbers. It's even smashed through Frozen 2's record, and it currently holds the title for the biggest US openings of 2023 to date. Not bad at all. This is what Disney ultimately hopes to do, at least this year, is beat the Super Mario Bros. Movie at the box office. And I think that they expected Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to do really freaking well, and ultimately it just did not beat Mario Brothers, which is hilarious to me, but also kind of good, because if Disney sees that their films are not doing as good, they are going to change it up. They are going to change the formula and potentially bring back fan favorite characters, and that's all that I could really ask for. It says, though, the new Marvel outing has also taken considerably less at the box office than its 2017 predecessor, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which took $146 million in its opening weekend. This is the number they were hoping to at least equal. The first Guardians of the Galaxy made $94 million in its opening weekend. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 took in $146, and their original projection was $140 million because they were hoping it was going to be right around these same numbers, and unfortunately, they didn't hit any of the projections. I've talked about Marvel a lot on this channel, and I've had to talk about Guardians quite a few times. The first movie was absolutely fantastic, and while I didn't love 2 as much as I loved 1, I was pretty hopeful, at least for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and while the user reviews are shining, the critic reviews are a little bit less positive, an 81% critic and a 95 audience score, which is obviously very solid, very good. People are enjoying it, and I think that that is awesome. I'm going to wait a couple of weeks before I fully judge the audience score, because they do typically launch higher and then drop as the weeks go on, because of course hardcore Marvel fans are going to see it at launch, and the normal moviegoers see it over the weeks that it is at theaters, and then the score drops. I don't think it's going to lower drastically. I'm thinking like a 90%, which is still good, but obviously the money side of things is not as good. There are 32 Marvel movies at this point, and our expectations are high. Films like The Marvels don't need to be made, She-Hulk didn't need to be made, and while they have seen success, which is why they're milking these characters, characters and hoping new ones catch on, all of these films now just feel kind of uninspirational. Few releases now feel like they were meant to exist and that were great, and I just unfortunately feel like now that Guardians of the Galaxy is done and they're not going to make another movie, we have lost all of these characters that people did genuinely enjoy. And while I'm sure that we're going to see them pop up from time to time, and we're going to see them make cameos on occasion, a lot of people are feeling kind of disappointed now that they're over, and the next few MCU films are just looking like trash at this point. I do think part of the numbers being low is that, yes, people are sick of bad superhero movies, but at this point, only the top superheroes could reach these massive expectations companies have now. No one wants to pay to see Black Widow, new Captain America, or Captain Marvel. I do think, though, people would pay to see the Iron Mans, the real Captain Americas, or the well-written Thors and Doctor Strange, and we're just not getting those movies anymore. Superhero fatigue is being caused by C and D level characters like Miss Marvel, or ones people haven't really heard that much about, like Monica Rambeau. There's too many shows and movies releasing with mediocre characters, okay? People don't go to the movies in a similar fashion that people who are comic book fans buy comic books. Most people aren't going to see each and every new Marvel movie. They're only picking specific characters to support, where comic fans buy crossover events and buy content with 10 different characters in a month, and I just don't think that Marvel understands that anymore. I mean, even the people who are not Marvel shills or super Marvel fans are rating the movie pretty poorly. I mean, looking at Bounding into Comics, they gave it a overall score of a 5, saying the pros are a nice send-off for the Guardians, a well-acted crew across the board, Star-Lord and Nebula shine bright, but the cons are that it's a 2.5-hour movie, there's a lot of characters, and character-induced stupidity is real in this. It's like a C-plus addition to the MCU, which is just disappointing. I want these movies to be good, but Marvel isn't listening to fans. They don't really care about what we want to see in these films, and they're going to continue to push out this mediocre content, and it's going to continue wearing people down. But yeah, Guardians is out. It did not beat the expected numbers, and it also failed to top the Super Mario record, which I think Disney is probably a bit salty over right now. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.